Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Photography Tips and Tricks. My name is RC. This is the show that you're coming to know and love for all things hardware, software, gear reviews, tips, tricks, inspiration, anything to take your photography to the next level. Now, we have a special guest on. Serge Ramelli's here from Paris, France. Don't want to take up too much of his time. I do want to talk to you a little bit about pop-up flash on your camera. Now, you're probably used to having a pop-up flash set up here, and more often than not, a pop-up flash just causes more problems because the angle that you use it in is a little bit harsh and the light's a little bit harsh. But what you don't know is that there's a couple of different things that you can do into this flash to kind of mitigate that and make it a little bit better. Right off the bat, if you look at the display that you have at the very, very top, you can go ahead and you can press on this side. There's usually a button that has a flash on it. If you press it, you'll see that the display changes, and that's telling you that there are different modes by which you can use that flash. So if I hold this down and I'm going to turn it right here, and you'll see that now you have rear curtain, you have right there, it's showing that there's a little red eye, and off. Now, the front one, if you change this, -3, -7, -1, -1.3, and if I turn it over to the right, +3, +7, +1. So what you're doing with this is you're saying, I can increase or decrease that power of that flash. So when you take that picture, if you take the pop-up flash and it's like, wow, everywhere, just hold that down and bring it down. The -3 is -1/3 of a stop, -1/7 of a stop, -1 stop. Or if you see that the flash isn't giving you enough juice, hold it down, go +1, +3, +7, whatever it is that you need. The rear is also very, very important. Imagine if a person is walking from one point to another. If you take a flash and it's a slow shutter speed, if you leave it at normal, you're going to see that the person blurs and the blur is in front of them, right? That's because the flash fires first and then the person moves. If you set it to rear, what you'll do is you'll actually put the blur behind them. So the person's walking, they'll walk first, and then at the end, bam, it throws the flash. So keep it at rear almost all the time and adjust your power as you see fit. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, Serge Ramelli will be here to give us some more tips, tricks, and inspiration here on Photography Tips and Tricks.
Hello, my name is Lindsey Adler, and I'm a portrait and fashion photographer based in New York. Here in New York, it is filled with creative, passionate people. There are makeup artists, hairstylists, wardrobe stylists that love what they do. In fashion, there are no rules. It's all about your creativity. So when I'm doing a fashion shoot, I can focus on the lighting, on the models, on the poses, and instead I have everybody else adding their own creative contributions. It's whatever vision I have in my mind, I can make it a reality.
For 30 years, Sharon and I have been working hard to encourage wildlife photographers to get out and shoot their wild heritage. And if you're not a wildlife photographer, we've been trying to suck you into the good stuff of photography. Forget the other stuff. Wildlife, that's really cool. Now, as soon as you walk out your front door, you'll see birds, you can see squirrels. Where I live, it could be bears. There's a whole ton of things out there. We're still very fortunate to have so much of our wild heritage around to photograph. But here's the problem. Being human, okay, we get distracted. It's easy to get onto different tangents. And in wildlife photography, sometimes that is kind of disturbing. What do I mean? Well, I try to encourage people to kind of find a critter. I don't want to say adopt it, but kind of like not specialize, but really focus in on it. Sorry, bad photographic pun. What do I mean by that? Well, there's certain critters in my career that have been important, and for kind of funky reasons. Now, you might find it hard to believe, but one of my favorite critters to photograph are moose. Go figure, right? You know? But why is that? Well, they're kind of this very interesting giant deer of North America that has managed to hold on and live both in its wilderness and side by side with man. And it's that story that kind of intrigued me. So I go to Maine, I go to Wyoming, I go to Alaska, I go to Canada. Different places to photograph moose. And you might say a moose is a moose is a moose. but they're not. There's actually 4 different subspecies. Each one's a little bit different size, a little bit different, unique. And in that story, and being a wildlife sleuth and going out and finding that story, then recording it, you know, kind of helps me as a wildlife photographer. You solve problems, you learn about things, and you end up generating that cool portfolio of images. So that's what I'm trying to, you know, if you sit there and kind of focus in on maybe one critter, you'd be surprised how it will help your whole career and your passion for photography totally grow. Now, does it always work out perfectly? Well, I think if you look at the book, there's a picture here that shows you really, you know, what's my subject doing? It's walking away, okay? So that's part of the story too.
Welcome back, everybody, to Photography Tips and Tricks. My name is RC. Now, we have a special treat for you today. All the way from Paris, France, we have Serge Ramelli. Now, Serge is a movie producer and photographer, and I gotta tell you, he's got some amazing, amazing work. So let's get a couple of tips from him talking to us about how to be able to make our photography better. What do you have for us, Serge?
Merci beaucoup, RC, to have me on this show. So just a couple of tips on shooting panoramas. When I shoot panoramas, I shoot manual. But the way I do this is I first go AV mode. I measure the light, like, so let's say I put the aperture at 7.1 or 9, 10, 11, you know, something pretty big, so I have a big depth of field and everything is sharp. So let's say 7.1. So I put on 7.1 AV mode and I look at the speed, you know, and I just measure the whole scene. And then I take the lower figure that I found as a shutter speed. I go manual. Why lower? Because I want to underexpose a bit my photo, because that's the best result I get in Lightroom, especially on shooting panos. And so I go in manual, I put in the 7.1 that I had, and I put in the shutter speed, the lowest figure that I have, and I take my photo, I take my pano like this, then I import everything back in Lightroom or Camera Raw, and I retouch just one photo. As they have all the same exposures, I just have to sync, and now all my photos are retouched and I got the best out of all the raw files. Then I merged it. So that's the first tip. The second tip is, instead of doing 7 to 8 photos like this, which each file is very big now, try this. Put your camera in landscape mode and just do pano with 1, 2, instead of like 7 or 8. It takes less space and you will see it works very well.
C'était un message spécial de Serge. Pour plus d'informations, allez sur photoserge.com. That's a place where you're going to be able to go and find all sorts of tutorials, podcasts that happen every Monday. That's the place you want to be. Make sure you check it out at photoserge.com. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have a website to watch, some special prizes, and more information here on Photography Tips and Tricks.
Hi, my name's Joe McNally. For Kelby Training, I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia. In this class, we capture dancers in the air at the peak of their flight. We ask them to create their most important, their most powerful move, and I'm going to show you how to get that move and photograph it with big flash, small flash, from the simple to the complex. Here, I can show you right here. Here's Gilbert. He's an amazing dancer. He just did this fantastic leap, but he's not the best dancer we worked with. Here's the best dancer we worked with. Come check out my class, Dancers in Flight, Beautiful Light, at kelbytraining.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Photography Tips and Tricks. My name is RC. It's time for our website to watch and our contest. Now, I ran into this guy when I was walking along water at Zion National Park. I'm sitting there and it's like a 2.5 mile, 3 mile walk in the middle of water. I'm up to here, I'm carrying one camera and I'm freaking out. And then I saw a guy that was standing in the river with a large format camera and a ton of different bags. This guy does some phenomenal work. His name is Ben Horne, and you can see his website here at benhorne.com. He does a lot of large format, so he shoots an 8x10. He carries all of this gear around, and he's extremely dedicated to producing gorgeous, gorgeous images, and I think that you'll agree too. Make sure you take a look at his website, benhorne.com. You're gonna be very, very surprised at some amazing landscape work that's out there. Now, it's contest time. So this show is episode 9. If you go to the kelbytv.com website, you can go in there, go to kelbytv.com/contest, make sure that you select Photography Tips and Tricks, Put in your name, put in your email, put in your website if you have one. I'd love to see it. And tell us something about the show. Guys, this is your show. We want to make sure that we can serve you guys any content that you want to be able to see. One of our producers will pick one of your comments, and the winner is going to get the Spider Cube. This is a great tool for you to use for color calibration, white point calibration, for all of the products. When you need to have color that's very, very accurate, you go to Spider. This is the place to go. You're also going to get the Language of Light DVD. Joe McNally is the master at flash photography. He's one of my idols and a very, very good friend, and he's been kind enough to give us the Language of Light DVD available for you now, if you happen to win. Last of which is Photoshop User Magazine. You'll get a year subscription to the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. These are the people that bring you Photoshop User Magazine, and if you haven't seen it, it is absolutely gorgeous. You're gonna get all three things. Guys, I wanna leave you with one more thing. Recently, I just became the editor-in-chief of Light It Magazine. If you haven't seen it, take a look. Here on my iPad, I'm gonna go to the newsstand, and I'm gonna select Light It Magazine. If you're into light, flash photography, strobing, all of that kind of stuff, and you have an iPad, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous magazine for you to get. Light It Magazine, right now, we have 9 issues, and you can get the first issue for free, this one. Once you get inside of there, you're going to agree with me that it has the best resources for you to learn light and flash photography. I'm gonna take you through it, take a look. You wanna see some stuff? Wanna see this? I'll bring you right to it. You wanna see a big picture? Double click. It's got some amazing work inside of here. I can go ahead and open this up. You want to take a look at these pictures? There's no better way for you to work with this than using Light It Magazine. You're going to love it. Make sure you take a look at it at the App Store, Light It Magazine. Now, next week, we'll go ahead and we'll bring you some more inspirations, more tips, some more tricks, some more gear reviews. But for this week, I think we're pretty much done. My name is RC, and I'll see you guys next week.